Hey, it's me again, Antonio. In this video, I'm going to answer one of the most asked questions from friends and clients as to why I should hire a realtor and why not sell it on your own privately to save the commission. Or why do I need to hire a realtor when buying a home? They think they could get better deal from the seller since the seller could save some commission. Overall, they think realtor are just a scam. Guess what? I'm going to answer this question in this video. And stay tuned, and believe it or not, there is one scenario where it might not make sense to use a real estate agent. So we are going to break it down now and get to it. If this is the first time you are on this channel, welcome to the channel. We make weekly real estate related videos, and if you find this video helpful, please like the video and consider subscribing. And if you have anyone who might benefit from this information, I sure would go a long way for us. Now let's get to it. In a modern world, we're starting to have more and more apps and certain things, and they are actually starting to destroy the certain occupations on a daily basis. For example, Uber is attempting to eliminate the taxi drivers, some online shopping stores such as Amazon challenging the traditional retail stores, and etc. So there are always these websites or applications to choose from. Things are on their way, and now, let us say, taking jobs of individuals. Of course, there are no exceptions to the real estate world, and specifically targeting the real estate agents like myself. New apps and creative real estate tactics that provide easy ways to help home buyers to look for properties without a realtor, and as you walk through the house, it's very clear, and there's advertising that you can make an appointment today. You can make an offer easy and without a realtor. Now, if you're not buying a house for the first time, you're getting these thoughts and ideas on your head and ask yourself whether you should use a realtor. So let's get the first hurdle out of the way. It may appear that the buyer's agent duty is limited to showing you properties, but there's a lot more to someone who assists you in purchasing a home. Well, it's true at first the realtor will show you houses until you find the one that you prefer. Then when you actually in contract, that's where the real value comes out. The purchase contract is a lot of pages. From the agreement of purchase, clauses for conditions to protect the buyers, and have you thought about counter offers and how is it done with paper trails? There are many contingencies in play here. And let's face it, an average person maybe buys a house 1 to 3 times in their whole lifetime. A successful realtor will see 1 to 5 properties every month. So having someone who has this experience of what to look out for in the contract or what doesn't seem right is really valuable. Not to mention who you will turn to if the seller requesting something that is out of ordinary. A good realtor will remind you where your contingencies are. What are your protections, helping arrange and navigate the escrow of the inspections, and much more. Bottom line, when things are going great, you might think, well, it's not very necessary. This realtor has an easy job. But things are going smoothly and easy because they have the proper things done to make sure they're going smoothly and easy. So the buyer's agent job really is to take care of you and making sure you are not screwed over. And guess what? Here is the best part about this, is that you don't pay for the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent gets paid a certain percentage of the commission of the person selling the house. So that means as the buyer could hire someone, the seller paid the money to help you buy a house. They get paid one way or another. So really for you as the buyer, it's really just a pure gain to have someone on your side. Now, here is another scenario. Let's say you go find a house that you really like. You could call the listing agent and you can tell him that you are very interested and help you write an offer. Now, here's a good question. Who is the listing agent really helping? Multi-representation refers to the fact that the agent is also the same broker but not necessarily the same agent. So for example, I work for a brokerage with over 1,000 realtors, and if I show a home that happens to be listed by an agent in the same brokerage, it's technically dual agency because the brokerage is the same, but the realtors are two distinct. Now in this case, if you call the listing agent, it's the same person helping the seller and they know the intention of the seller. And you bet they also know the bottom line of the seller, and you could have a benefit of the doubt whether they're going to look out for your interest or they could just not tell the seller exactly what's going on. But as always, I would suggest minimizing any risk of you getting screwed over. And yes, there is a chance it could be good. However, it could also, the agent can favor the seller since they know the sellers much longer and had a better relationship. Who knows? The realtor could be out telling the seller what they can do to get more money out of you, the buyer. Sure, it could be a small percentage of it happening. I'm not saying everybody is this shady, but there's a chance of it happening. Isn't it or not? So why put yourself in that situation when you could hire a buyer's agent practically for free? You don't have to pay extra money to have the realtor to negotiate on behalf of you, and you don't need to directly talk to the seller or the listing agent. A good buyer agent will be helping you to fight and negotiate down the price to your best interest. And here to the third scenario. A lot of people think by calling the listing agent they could get the best possible deal because they don't have to pay their commission. Well, guess what? The commission, it has already been agreed on what the seller will pay the agent who bring in the buyer and what the seller's agent gets. That is absolutely nothing to do with you. So what could also be happening is that the realtor could be double ending the deal where the agent is helping the seller and the buyer. A tip as always, realtor love to brag about this. By double ended the deal, meaning they got the seller and buyer and they made the double the commission. So are they really helping you save any money by you going in there unrepresented? Of course not. But you certainly making the realtor very happy because he is making more money unless they can verify on paper that you're getting the money back through somehow like closing costs. But if you step back, and the thing is that if you had a realtor representing you, you probably would have gotten that closing cost paid for or price reduction with a good negotiation. If there were any reason why the property hasn't sold, the reason could be because it was probably overpriced, meaning that you could make an offer regardless if you had a realtor. They're going to make it seem like, oh, we're going to keep the commission we would have given to the buyer to your closing costs, and we all know that this is just kind of BS. As a first-time home buyer or simply a nervous home buyer, having a knowledgeable, professional, and experienced realtor on your side throughout this whole entire transaction is one of the most powerful things you can have. They're the one looking out for you for the things you don't know, and they're the ones who can explain things to you to let you know, hey, what's the psychology going on here. If you are not represented, you are kind of putting yourself at risk, and think about it. It could be one of the biggest investments you could make. So now, on to the one reason I mentioned from the beginning of the video, where it might not make sense to hire a realtor. Well, let's say if there are a situation where close family, or let's say a good friend, or even a neighbor that's nearby wanting to sell their house, and they come to you because they know you very well, and they also knew that you were interested from maybe past conversations. And of course, they want to turn this into private sale and not involving any realtors. Obviously, the seller will want to factor out the buyer or the listing commission. In this case, in Toronto, the industry average standard is about 5%. That potentially is what you want it to be safe. And also, they do not want to pay for any additional marketing fee, including professional photography, 3D video, and other marketing material just to look for the right buyer. I'm totally cool and you should do it if this is the situation, but there is one big catch and should watch out for. Let's say, for example, the seller of the house wants to sell you the house at $900,000. The seller will have saved closely to probably around $45,000, assuming it's a 5% commission. But how would you have known if the seller could have gotten them to that price in the first place? You need to determine the true value of the property. It seems very simple concept for a realtor, but it could be confusing at times for people that is not in this field. A listing price or the actual sold price could very well be a big difference. One could want to sell a price that they wanted, hence this is the listing price, but not certainly that would be the sold price where the buyer really wanted to pay for. You see now, if you are obviously constantly researching online so that you have a clear idea of the property in the area is sold for, you will also need to account that almost every property in the market is accounted roughly about 5% in the price for the commission to the buyer agent and listing agent combined. In other words, you still must deduct 5% from the general sold price in the market. Now let's say you are really savvy and know your market. Don't forget, just like the example I mentioned earlier, if it's 900,000 was his price to sell it to you, immediately you will probably say, hey, if the commission are all waived, he should really sell it to you at probably 855,000 after the commission. Even though you thought 900,000 was the price you last saw was sold, and how you would know if he really put it on the market in, let's say in MLS, it would have taken him a month or two to sell. There are a lot of things that you don't know about, and you want to make sure that the value you're receiving is a true value and thus you are getting a fair bargain. If they're just going to save $45,000 off the price you're going to miss rigidly listed at is no indicator of what price it would have sold for. This is just like saying, hey, I'll tell you my laptop that's worth maybe around 1,000. I was going to sell this for 1,500, but for you, I give it to you for 1,200. You're going to say, oh wow, I'm getting a good deal. Well, how would he have known that he could sell it for 1,500? You have probably stayed on the market for a while and then you have to reduce the price. So you're getting yourself into a position where there's no realtors protecting you. They might have an attorney helping them, but you have no one on your side. So it's only worth the extra risk and hassle if you're getting a monster deal. So how do you know you're getting a monster deal? The best bet would be going through the most recent past sold if you could. And don't forget that you need to deduct the 5% that are factored in for the property. You still don't settle until you have done the research. At the end, if you don't have time for all this tedious job, there is a good reason to hire a realtor. Now, to recap the video, which turned out to be much longer than I anticipated, is a buyer agent really required when purchasing a home? Technically, you don't, but I strongly advise it 90% of the time. A great agent will work with you as a partner. They'll be on the lookout for anything out of the ordinary. They'll be there to make sure you take care of, and it won't cost you anything in the end. Just to add my final example, it's like when you get sued, do you go to the court and defend yourself? Hell no. There's a bunch of documents and proceedings that you have no clue of. Why not hire someone for free to help you buy the home now? But of course, if there are a rare opportunity where you could get a monster deal, by all means. But just don't forget to deduct all the commissions and compare to the past sold. So thank you to stick to the end of the video, and I tried to share as much as I could as a realtor in the GTA Toronto. I hope you really appreciate this kind of videos, and if you are first time here in this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. And if you have anyone who might benefit from this information, I sure will go a long way for us. Bye for now. Catch you in the next one.